Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bunny Cakes and welcome to my channel for the first time if you're new here. Today I am going to be doing a review for a graphic novel. It's The Dark Tower Gunslinger Born. This is a really cool graphic novel. It is chapters 1 through 7 of the Wizard and Glass book from the Gunslinger / Dark Tower series. It was done by with Stephen King in collaboration with Marvel. And so there are a lot of people who had their hands in this. I'm not going to list them all. But this is really cool. There's great artwork. It starts out with an explanation of the story by Ralph Macchio, who is one of the head designers. It's got some really, really great artwork in here. And I'm not going to show that. That's a bit gruesome. Let's see. We're trying to keep this family friendly, so here's some more really cool artwork. Let me move that closer so you can see it. The cover on this is also awesome, front and back. That's the dust jacket. And then the actual cover on it. It kind of makes me think of the covers of the Bibles you see in like the hotel drawers. That's what it makes me think of. We traveled a lot when I was a kid, so I saw a lot of those, and usually they were that reddy brown with the gold font on them. So this really does the story justice, and it was a great way to experience the story again. Thankfully, when I decided to read this, I didn't realize where it came in the story, and then I was reading it, I was like, oh, thank God I've actually read that deep into the story. And then in the back of it, I'm going to take this dust jacket off so I don't bend it. In the back of it, it's got all this really cool artwork that wasn't put into the actual story. And some of these pictures, my light's glaring off of it, so I'm going to get it close. These are just so well done. And there's another picture in here that shows some of the photo editing. Here's some more cool artwork that they did. Here's some more really cool pictures of the Gunslinger. I'm trying to find it. Some of these pictures are kind of not YouTube safe, so that's why I'm flipping past them. Alright. No. Here it is. Okay, so down here at the bottom, these two pictures are the same picture, but the colors were edited so the bottom one looks like fire, and that's one of the backgrounds that's used to get the color schemes for the book. And now I've read up to Wizard and Glass in the series. I actually think I've gotten farther than that. I just can't remember at the moment. And the artwork in this graphic novel actually looks like it's really closely done to the artwork that is done in a lot of the Dark Tower series, because Stephen King has always had a lot of artwork in the series as well, especially in the hardback novels. I really love the story. It was a great way to experience it. This is just the first half of Wizard and Glass. And actually, it's not even the first half. It's the first half of Roland's past story in Wizard and Glass, because Wizard and Glass bounces between present day and the past for Roland. And so it's all of his past and how he becomes the gunslinger. And it's, at least for this part of the story, it's not going into his present day story with the other characters. I really loved it. I'm so glad I experienced this story. I've got the second half of the book that I'm going to read. Well, the second half of the second half of Wizard and Glass, the second graphic novel of this portion of the Gunslinger series. I'm super interested in reading it. I'll probably read that really soon, because graphic novels, like, it's like 200 or 300 pages, but it's not the same as reading 300 pages of a regular novel. Um, so I will read that and review it soon as well, and show some of the artwork. I really recommend this, and I'm also super totally interested in going probably on Amazon or Thrift Books or something, and getting the rest of the Dark Tower graphic novels, because there's another chunk of the graphic novels that I found on Amazon that doesn't involve these two, that I really want to look into and see about those. There's also this really cool open letter in the back of this from Stephen King, where he talks about why he does so many adaptations and why he doesn't worry so much about doing adaptations, which I think is cool. For the Dark Tower series, I think it was Marvel came to him, and he's a comic lover. Um, and so when he found out they wanted to work with him, he was like, yeah. And they ended up settling on doing the Dark Tower series, but doing the Dark Tower series, he decided to do some of the other books that he's done, and now I know there are all sorts of the series, or not series, but other books that he's done out there, and he talks about why he lets people do adaptations of, and he pretty much always rubber stamps when people ask him to do adaptations, because he knows his work is good, so even if the adaptation sucks, people can go back to his books and remember the good parts. And that's exactly what he says. And I thought that was really interesting. It's not a money grab the way he talks about it. He kind of wants to see how it's going to turn out. Um, and he talks about doing graphic novels, because this came out in 2007, I think this one did. Let me see. Yeah, 2007. He talks about at the time they were books that were going to come out in the future, and it's cute to, well, not cute, but it's fun to see the allusions to books that he's put out that I've read, so that I know what he's talking about. Um so yeah, I love to read the little forewords and afterwords and stuff that the authors put in their books like that, because you find those little quips and you get that touch of personality. And especially because I read so much of Stephen King's work, I know the creative part of his mind, because I've read a whole lot of what he's written. And when you do that, you kind of develop a sense of who someone is creatively. But it's also cool to get that sense of who someone is personally when um, you've got such intimate knowledge of their creativity that they put out and share with the world. Um, and it's always been interesting to me that Stephen King writes all this dark, macabre, scary, twisted stuff, but then when you see interviews with him, he's like this cool, happy, jokey, um total dad type character, and it's so opposite of what I would expect. Usually from horror writers, I expect some kind of Edgar Allan Poe type um sense, and that dark gothiness, and I kind of love that he's not that. And also I love that even though he didn't have to, it was just a random aside in the open letter he wrote, I love that he explained why he does what he does, and why there are so many adaptations, and all that sort of stuff, and why he's so okay with some of the creative liberties that happen, some of the screenplays and such that he allows to happen. Um, and he mentions that he actually okayed a musical version of Liz Claiborne in London. It's an off-Broadway production, and I would love to get my paws on that, because it seems like it would be interesting, especially now that and it's not something you really get with other authors, um where they talk about why they were cool with some random creative um liberty that the screenplay writer took with with their work. And so I like that, and I would love to see that musical Liz Claiborne off-Broadway production. So if anybody knows anything about that and can get me a link to it, even if it's not free, let me know, because I'm going to look into that. But yeah, I really love this version of Wizard and Glass as a graphic novel. Graphic novels aren't something I've super been into in the past. I actually ended up getting this book really super cheap at this discount store called Ollie's that's in my area. I don't really know how widely spread the chain is, but I got these two books for like $3 a piece. And looking at the cover, these things retailed for like $25 in the US. So I got a heck of a deal on these, and I've had them on my shelf for a while. I ended up reading this for a readathon because it actually fit a prompt, and I forgot that I owned these, and that it fit the prompt that I couldn't find a book to fit for, so I squeezed it in to my my TBR this month. But yeah, again, really love this. I'm kind of rambling at this point now. This has been more of a ramble video necessarily than a full review of the book. But I have reviewed Wizard and Glass on my channel before. It's the same story. It's the same good story. It's just kind of different because instead of a lot of the descriptive text, you have pictures, and they are really, really awesome. And it's an interesting kind of almost Cliff Notesy version of the story to remind me about this part of the tale as I'm hoping to get my paws on the next installment of the series. And also it's got me super into reading graphic novels. I've got a couple more, so I'm probably going to add those into my TBR soon. Though with graphic novels, I find I don't like ebook versions because they don't really read well on the devices that I have. Um, so when I get graphic novels, they will almost entirely be physical copies when I can get my paws on them, but I'm definitely more interested in finding graphic novels to read. So if there are any graphic novels that you think I might be interested in, post them down in the comments below because I'm totally into it right now. And again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you liked my channel, hit that subscribe button. And thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.